Hello again, welcome to Sweetcast. This is Clint. We need to talk about manga today. I think there's some important lessons that we could and should be learning. And I'm apologizing right now if I didn't say that right, manga. I'm just going to go with whatever comes out of my mouth. So yeah, correct me in the comment section how it should be pronounced. But before we dive into that, I wanted to let y'all know that I still have my ebook up for free. I'm not going to leave this up too much longer. Part of the reason I did this is because I wanted to reward all of my early subscribers. So this isn't going to be here forever. But this is the book I published in 2013, all for Owen. You can follow the link in the description below. It should bring you here to this landing page. All I ask in return is an email address, and that is only so I can notify you of the launch of Downcast. In the meantime, you get a free ebook. One more thing before we get into manga. I mentioned in my last video that I was really having a hard time with the artist that I had hired, and I ended up letting the artist go. I have some amazing news. Things have worked out so well, and I found a new artist. I had already been looking at his stuff, really for over a month. And I really liked a lot of stuff about his art style. It's hard because you see so many great artists out there and you got to pick one that you think is going to work. Anyway, so I went back to that artist, and it's only been like a day, I guess, really. It's been a day. And already he's been just coming up with great ideas. He did two layouts of the cover, and they blew me away. They're just rough sketches. I'll show them to you sometime, not yet. But they just blew me away. So much energy, so much great stuff. He also really got into the concept of Downcast with the floating city, and he introduced me to this artist that does a lot of illustrations like that, and so we were taking some inspiration from that. So already this is a night and day difference. Having an artist that is invested in the story, that they care about it, they want to leave their mark on that story. That's exactly what I want as a writer. That's somebody that I can trust, I want to work with. So I'm feeling so good right now about where we're at with the artwork. It was a tough decision to make. Right now, it's already paying off. I'm so glad I made it, and hopefully I'll have some artwork to show you very soon. A cover. I promise soon. Okay, so into manga. I posted this on Twitter. I asked the question, what can US comics learn from manga? I think I want to make a video on this. What are your thoughts? Now, when I asked this question, I'm not a big manga reader. I'll be honest. I've read part of one. I've watched some anime. Really, my first exposure, I guess, was Pokemon. That was anime. At the time, I didn't even know what anime was. This was, in the mid 90s. When was that? Late 90s, something like that. And as far as I'm concerned, that is when manga really entered the U.S. market. I'm sure I'm wrong there, but that's what it felt like. From there on out, the influence of manga it's undeniable, both through anime and the sequential art manga. Since then, I watched the Death Note series. My brother recommended it to me, and I loved it. It was fantastic. It was so creative. Lots of things I loved about Death Note. He also convinced me to watch One Punch Man. I don't know why. I had no desire to watch it. I thought it just didn't sound appealing to me at all. I watched the whole series. I just binged it. It was really good. So, finally, they've got my attention. And I think that they're doing some things right, and the numbers also back up that claim. So some of your comments that I got from Twitter, they try to ignore political ideologies or biased mindsets, keep them out of your story. Yeah, that's a really great point. And I can only, again, I'm not an expert here. I'm going to read some more, so give me some suggestions of what manga I ought to try. But it really seems like the stories they're just stories. And we can do that in American comic books too. It's been done. That it's not being done enough. Comics are being treated like they're a specialty market. And I am really, really under the impression that when you treat something like a specialty market, that's exactly what you're going to get. They're not treating it like something that is truly accessible to the masses. Let's see, hire people based on talent and merit. Okay, I don't know a lot about the manga, but I will take the word for it. Trey 50 Daniel says, typically manga just tells some form of the hero's journey and frames it in a realistic manner by basing it in a world similar to reality, but then fantastical events occur. I skip down. George Alexopoulos says, a ton. I've drawn lots of manga myself. I think the critical difference is that manga is inspired by black and white cinema. That's really, really interesting. Therefore, it tries to tell its stories visually over many pages and panels. Yeah, it does seem like they're thicker. You're getting a lot more imagery there. Writing is different. I started watching this documentary, have not finished it yet. I'm going to. Okay, here's another great example from Mike Murphy. I think Shonen Jump's business model and professional customer support display all we need to know. Don't be jerks to people giving you money. Okay, give them various price points and ways to access your books. Yeah, I love it. And access to a book is not just like, I can find it at my local comic shop. I can find it here, find it there. There is, in my opinion, there's a massive problem with, if people want to get into comics, they don't know where to start. If let's just say you enjoy the Spider-Man movies, you want to read Spider-Man, it's extremely difficult to know where you should start. I guess start with Stan Lee. Start from the beginning. But yeah, it's definitely like this mountain that you've got to figure out. It can be difficult. Here's a great one from Cam. I know how to gain and retain customers. That's crucial. I do want to look into that more and look at specifics, but Manga is doing something right. I had so many other great comments. It was really great. So I think I'm going to do more videos, and I want to understand the manga market better. Okay, so I looked up this article on comic sales. It says comic sales are down as readers abandon print. Now, there's this, I guess there's this mindset that there's a limit on the market and that it's going down and you're sort of limited into this bubble. Just as far as business goes, that's not a wise way to think about business. So, for example, if I'm making a YouTube video, I've done a lot of reading on it and when is the best time of day to post videos. And sometimes you could be frustrated if you think, oh, I didn't post my video at the exact right time to maximize my views. Yes, it'll help optimize, I guess, your views. But the truth is, if you make the right kind of video, it doesn't matter if you post it in the middle of the night. It's going to get views, and it's going to get a lot of them. And that's because at any given moment, there's enough traffic, there's enough people out there that might be interested in your product, so to speak, that they're willing to go for it. So for print sales going down, that doesn't mean necessarily that customers are just abandoning print and going for digital. The problem here is that they're abandoning print. So there's something wrong with print. That's great if people are going to digital, but I'll show you in a minute here. Manga doesn't have that problem, and we all live in the same world with the same technology. So comic books and graphic novels sales fell 6.5% in 2017 from a 2016 high of 1.015 billion. Graphic novels brought in 570 million, while comic books brought in about 350 million. Okay, and there's things to consider like floppies versus graphic novels versus digital. That's all well and good, but it's common knowledge that comic books are going down in sales. And now they say that they're being abandoned for print, but is it possible that they're being abandoned for manga? So here's an article for you. Viz manga sales are destroying DC and Marvel in comics market. I think this is the right way to be thinking about it. If you're somebody that enjoys reading stories in sequential art form, my guess would be you could enjoy a manga, or you could enjoy an American comic or a European comic for that matter. You could enjoy any kind of sequential art as long as it appealed to you, or you're willing to give it a try. So the more I thought about it, I was thinking, DC and Marvel, they're the big two. Viz has 23% of the market share. if you're including manga in the market share, that changes the numbers drastically. Manga is eating American comics lunch. Now, I don't think this is because American comics have some sort of innate fatal flaw. There are some fantastic American comics. I mean, I wouldn't love comics so much if there weren't. There are a lot of great comics. The medium has a lot of potential. It can be done right. It can also be done wrong. And unfortunately, that's what we've been seeing a lot of lately. Okay, kids, I'm going to bring this up again. Kids should not be abandoned. Kids are getting access to manga because it's in, it truly is written for everybody. There's something written for everybody. And so kids are getting manga at a young age. And I talked about Pokemon. How many people do you think got hooked on Pokemon or Digimon or Dragon Ball Z? And then because of the aesthetics and the storytelling, they moved into manga. And now American comics essentially has lost an entire generation of possible readers because they weren't ready to capture those kids when they were young. So I don't know. I found this interesting, and I think this is the way that we need to think about it. So if sorry to pull this up again. So manga is growing massively. However, sales of digital manga volumes amounted to 146 billion yen, about $1.28 billion, a 27.1% increase from the previous year, while sales of digital manga magazines amounted to 3.1 billion yen, which is about $27.4 million, a 55% increase from the previous year. These increases are massive. Every time I hear somebody say that, I guess things are just changing and we're competing against video games, we're competing against, other media where people are going to be spending their time, I have a hard time believing that, because there are so many people that are spending their time reading manga, and there's no reason why people that enjoy manga wouldn't enjoy really well done American comics. I've also heard the argument that it's all about intellectual property, and that because DC and Marvel already have these great intellectual properties, there's no way that you'd be able to create something new and start varying the market and print stuff that's not just superhero books. Because the truth is that this is happening all the time in manga. They're creating new intellectual property. I told you about One Punch Man. I should do a whole video on One Punch Man, but super interesting story. A guy just started making a web comic, and it looked worse than my drawing, but he knew what he was doing, and it became like a hit, big success. That's new intellectual property. That's new characters. That's possibly a new franchise. It's absolutely something that could happen in American comics, and it does. There are definitely indie titles that get out there and are successful. All my point is that we shouldn't limit ourselves and really believe that the market is just dissipating and that there's nothing we can do about it. It really feels like major American comic book publishers are just sort of accepting the fate and just letting things die. I strongly believe if you give something for readers to enjoy, for them to look forward to, you're going to have readers. There's a lot of people that like it. The only thing is that manga has figured this out. They understand that. And American comics have seemed to have forgotten that. So I'm definitely going to do more research into this. I want to learn more and understand more, and probably make more videos on it, because I do find it really interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below, because I would like to know, especially if you read manga. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. And last but not least, don't forget your free ebook. It's probably going to be ending in about a week, so link in the description below. Thank you, and see you next time.